Electroculture sits at the intersection of atmospheric physics, plant electrophysiology, and traditional agricultural practice, and the dismissal it receives from mainstream horticulture says more about what mainstream horticulture prioritizes than about whether the underlying biology is real. Welcome to Gardening Guru. Quick note before we dive in, if you want access to premium growing content that goes significantly further than the free channel, I run a membership club right here on YouTube. It covers advanced techniques, detailed practical guides, and the kind of in-depth knowledge that separates serious growers from casual ones. Subscribe and check the membership link in the description. Now let's talk about copper, atmospheric electricity, and what happens to plant growth when you give the soil a different electromagnetic environment. Electroculture is the practice of using metallic conductors, specifically copper, in most modern applications, positioned in the soil to influence the electromagnetic environment of the root zone and the growing canopy. The theoretical basis draws from the documented electrical properties of plants and soil, the known atmospheric electric field that exists between the ionosphere and the Earth's surface, and the research on plant bioelectricity that mainstream plant physiology has developed significantly in the last 2 decades. The practice itself predates that research by centuries, with documented agricultural use of metal conductors in French, Austrian and East Asian farming traditions from the 18th century onward. The atmospheric electric field is real, measurable, and biologically relevant, and understanding its properties explains the mechanism through which a copper conductor in the soil could theoretically influence plant growth. The atmospheric electric field that exists between the ionosphere, which carries a net positive charge, and the Earth's surface, which carries a net negative charge, maintains a potential difference of approximately 100 to 300 volts per meter of altitude under fair weather conditions. This field is not constant, varying with weather, solar activity, and local atmospheric conditions, but it is the background electromagnetic environment in which every terrestrial plant has evolved, and in which the bioelectrical processes of plant physiology operate. Plants are not electrically passive. Research from multiple university plant biology departments, including work from the University of Exeter on plant bioelectricity, and from Japanese agricultural research institutes on electroculture, has documented that plants maintain electrical potential differences across their membranes, use bioelectric signaling for rapid systemic responses to damage and environmental change, and show measurable growth and physiological responses to applied electrical fields in controlled experiments. The ion transport systems that move nutrients across root membranes and through plant vascular tissue are electrochemically driven processes that function within and are influenced by the electromagnetic environment of the root zone. A copper conductor extending from above the soil surface into the root zone creates a local modification of the electromagnetic environment by providing a low-resistance path for charge flow between the atmosphere and the soil. Copper's electrical conductivity is the highest of any common metal, which is why it is used specifically rather than iron or aluminum conductors in electroculture applications. The conductor does not generate electricity. It provides a pathway that concentrates and directs the existing atmospheric charge gradient into the soil environment, potentially modifying the local electromagnetic conditions that root zone ion transport operates within. The DIY construction of the copper electroculture antenna is straightforward, and the specific design details that experienced practitioners report as most effective are worth following precisely rather than improvising. The standard electroculture antenna design uses copper wire in the 12 to 18 gauge range, wound into a spiral or coil form that increases the surface area of the conductor and, according to electroculture practitioners, amplifies the antenna's interaction with the atmospheric field through the geometric properties of the coil. The coil is wound around a central stake of non-conductive material, typically a wooden dowel or bamboo stake, with the wire making a clockwise spiral from top to bottom when viewed from above, a detail that electroculture practitioners connect to the Coriolis effect and the direction of Earth's magnetic field rotation in the northern hemisphere. The stake is driven into the soil to a depth of 30 to 45 centimeters, positioning the lower portion of the wire coil within the active root zone of the plants it is intended to serve. The upper portion of the coil extends above the soil surface, with the top wire end left open rather than connected to any other conductor. The copper should not be painted, varnished, or coated, as the surface contact between bare copper and soil is part of the conductor's function in the system. For a standard raised bed of 4 by 8 feet, one antenna positioned at the center of the bed serves the full planting area, according to most electroculture practitioners. For in-ground plantings, one antenna per plant for individual large plants like tomatoes, squash, and corn, or one antenna per square meter for dense plantings of smaller crops represents the standard placement guidance. The total material cost for a single antenna is approximately $1 to $2 in copper wire, plus the stake material, producing the cost claim in various electroculture content despite the ambitious yield claims that accompany it. The honest assessment of electroculture requires acknowledging what the research supports, what remains anecdotal, and what the grower can realistically evaluate from their own garden observations. The research base for electroculture is genuinely mixed in its conclusions. Laboratory studies on the effect of applied electric fields on plant growth, conducted at controlled field strengths and frequencies, consistently show measurable effects on germination rate, root development, and growth rate at specific field parameters. The effect directions are positive in many studies: improved germination percentages, increased root biomass, accelerated vegetative growth, and are consistent with the theoretical mechanism of enhanced ion transport in an enhanced electromagnetic environment. What the laboratory research does not establish is that a passive copper antenna in garden soil generates the specific field characteristics that the controlled studies use as their treatment conditions. The practitioner evidence, including the 3 times yield claims that this video's title references, comes from growers who have observed improved results in their own gardens after installing copper antennas, and who attribute those improvements to the antenna rather than to other concurrent changes in management. This evidence is real in the sense that the growers genuinely observed what they report. It is limited in the sense that without controlled comparison beds managed identically with and without antennas in the same conditions, it is not possible to isolate the antenna's contribution from other variables, including natural year-to-year yield variation, concurrent management improvements, and confirmation bias in selecting and reporting results. The most honest recommendation for an interested grower is to run their own comparison. Install antennas in half of a divided bed, or in alternating positions through a row planting, and manage both sides identically while observing and measuring yield differences over 1 to 2 full growing seasons. Whether the 3 times yield improvement is reliably reproducible or represents the upper range of outcomes in favorable conditions, the cost and reversibility of trying electroculture makes it one of the lowest risk garden experiments available. A copper wire wound on a bamboo stake costs $2 and takes 10 minutes to install. If it works as the practitioners report, the return is extraordinary. If it produces modest improvement, the cost was negligible, and the investigation of why it might work leads through genuinely interesting plant bioelectricity research that rewards the curiosity regardless of what the garden experiment shows. Subscribe to Gardening Guru and check out the membership for the advanced plant physiology and experimental gardening content that takes this kind of investigation further. See you in the next one.